What does it take to rise from a quiet village to the highest tables of power? What does it take to build an oil empire in a game controlled by giants? This is not a story of overnight success. This is not a story of luck. This is the story of Atoeze, the soft-spoken billionaire who became a kingmaker, a philanthropist, and one of Nigeria's most quietly powerful oil magnates. His name may not trend every day, but his influence echoes across Nigeria and beyond. How did he do it? What doors did he open? Who stood by him? And who wanted him to fail? Brace yourself as we uncover the story of the man some call the Prince of the Southeast and how he carved his name into Nigeria's oil industry. Before Atoeze became one of Nigeria's wealthiest oil tycoons, he was just a boy growing up in a quiet part of the country. Atoeze was born in 1948 in Ugbo, Dunukofia local government area of Anambra State, Nigeria. His family wasn't poor, but they weren't billionaires either. His father was a traditional ruler, the late Obieze of Ugbo, which gave young Atoeze exposure to leadership and community service. Growing up in a royal household came with its own responsibilities. Atoeze learned how to listen to people's problems and how to carry himself with dignity. These early lessons would one day help him build powerful relationships in his life. In the 1970s, Atoeze traveled to the United States of America to further his studies. He attended California State University, Long Beach, where he studied chemical and mechanical engineering. It was there that he gained the technical skills that would later open doors in the oil and gas industry for him. But Ato did not just study books, he studied people. He observed how businesses were run in the US. He saw how oil companies operated, how wealth was built and sustained, and how influence was created. These lessons stayed with him. When Atoeze returned to Nigeria, the oil boom was reshaping the country, revealing the immense value of its oil reserves. The industry was tough and competitive, dominated by foreign oil companies and powerful Nigerian elites. Despite these challenges, Atoeze was determined to succeed. He leveraged his sharp mind, calm confidence, and growing network to carve out his place in the industry. In the late 1970s, Atoeze saw an opportunity in this competitive landscape. He had a plan to create something independent and significant. In 1991, he founded Atlas Oranto Petroleum, which would soon become one of Nigeria's largest indigenous oil exploration firms. Launching an oil company required substantial capital, technical know-how, and strong connections, but Ato was ready to make his mark. Atoeze started knocking on doors. He understood the game. In Nigeria's oil sector, success often depended on who you knew, how you negotiated, and where you positioned yourself. Atoeze was not just smart, he was politically savvy. He started building solid relationships with key government officials, military leaders, and policymakers. His charm and ability to connect with people opened doors that others found shut. His first big break came when Atlas Oranto secured oil blocks both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. His company didn't just stay local. It expanded operations to several African countries, including Liberia, Equatorial Guinea, and Sierra Leone. This was rare. Very few companies from Nigeria at the time had the vision, the courage, or capacity to explore oil outside Nigeria's borders. Atlas Oranto grew quickly and became known for acquiring and holding valuable oil exploration assets. In fact, the company eventually became one of the largest holders of oil exploration blocks in Africa. But Atoeze did not just rely on paperwork. He understood the importance of loyalty and influence. He built strong ties with sitting presidents, governors, ministers, and military officers. These connections made it easier for him to navigate Nigeria's complex oil licensing system. Some critics would later argue that his political closeness gave him an unfair advantage over others. Others believe he simply mastered the system better than most other people. But no matter where you stand, one thing is clear. Atoize's rise in the oil industry was not by accident. It was the result of smart positioning, calculated risk, and relationships that many could only dream of. His small company from Anambra had now grown into an oil giant with footprints across the continent. But the bigger he got, the more attention he attracted, both admiration and controversy. By the mid-1990s and early 2000s, Atoize was no longer just a businessman. He was now a power player. His company, Atlas Oranto Petroleum, had grown into one of the biggest indigenous oil firms in Nigeria, holding valuable oil blocks not just in Nigeria, but in several African countries. His wealth was climbing. His influence was spreading. But what really set Atoize apart was his deep connection to Nigeria's political elites. Atoize became known as the Prince of the Southeast, not just because of his royal family background, but because of the power he held behind the scenes. He is not the type of man who always appears in public, but politicians regularly pay him visits. Presidents, governors, senators, and ministers all make friends with him. Atoize had something many of them needed: access to wealth, connections to oil, and the ability to fund political campaigns. Some call him a kingmaker. Some call him a silent billionaire, but everyone agree that Atoize is powerful. It is widely believed that Atoize's success in the oil industry was made easier by his political friendships. He was often seen with military leaders, top government officials, and even foreign leaders. In Nigeria, where oil licenses are often tied to political approvals, this gave him a serious advantage. Atoize's generosity has often made headlines. He has donated substantial amounts to churches, communities, and political groups, particularly in the Southeast, where his wealth and influence have made him a hero for many. He has funded roads, built churches, supported traditional rulers, and contributed millions to charitable causes. However, there have been whispers and concerns surrounding his dealings. Some people argue that his close relationships with politicians have afforded him special treatment. Critics assert that he has benefited from government favoritism, acquiring oil blocks through political connections, and operating within a system where powerful individuals protect one another. Atoize has never publicly addressed these speculations in detail. Instead, he has focused on expanding his oil empire and strengthening his political networks, ensuring that his name remains influential in the corridors of power. He understands that in Nigeria, wealth without political protection can be perilous. Thus, he built an empire that was not just about oil, but also about influence. While his wealth and power grew, so did another dimension of Atoize's story: his commitment to giving back, facing criticism, and shaping his legacy. In his hometown of Ukbo, Anambra State, Eze has built churches, donated to educational initiatives, and sponsored medical missions to assist the sick and vulnerable. Notably, he once gave 20 million naira to Anglican churches in the entire Southeast, along with numerous other silent contributions that often do not receive media attention. One of his most significant public donations occurred in 2013 when he contributed $12 million, approximately 1.9 billion naira at the time, to flood relief efforts in Nigeria, making him one of the largest private donors to the National Disaster Fund. Despite his charitable work, however, Ato Eze has not escaped criticism. Some continue to argue that his close relationships with Nigerian politicians have made him too comfortable within the system and that he benefits from the same governmental favoritism he is accused of perpetuating. Ato has also been accused of funding political campaigns to secure his influence. In Nigeria's complicated political game, this is often seen as a way to stay untouchable. Yet, it is not all negative. Many Nigerians still see Ato Eze as a man who uses his wealth to give back to society. In his community, he is highly respected. Traditional rulers, governors, and even presidents have honored him for his philanthropic work. His name is tied to power, wealth, and charity all at once. His story is also one of quiet power. Unlike some billionaires who seek the spotlight, Ato Eze has largely stayed behind the scenes. He lets his actions and his money to do the talking. Today, Ato Eze remains one of the most influential oil tycoons in Nigeria. His company, Atlas Oranto Petroleum, still holds valuable oil exploration assets across Africa. His legacy is complex. He is seen as a giver, a connector, a power player, and a survivor in one of the world's toughest industries. Love him or question him, but you cannot ignore him. Ato Eze's journey is not just about oil. It is about timing. It is about connections, giving back, and staying relevant in a country where tides shift quickly. Some see him as a hero who gave hope to many. Others see him as another power broker who thrived within Nigeria's complex system. But whether you admire him or question him, one thing remains true. You cannot tell the story of Nigeria's oil billionaires without Ato Eze. His legacy stretches from oil rigs to community roads, from quiet boardrooms to the hearts of those he helped, and as the story of Nigeria continues to unfold, Ato Eze's footprint remains deeply carved into its foundation. In a country where power fades quickly, Ato Eze's story still stands larger than life, yet always just out of reach. Many thanks for watching this edition of Back in History, and do remember to subscribe to the channel or follow the page for regular notification on every new video. I am your friend and host Ekemini Udim, wishing you the best of time in all you do.